everyone, my name is Achika Favor Odunwayo from Amuchan Properties, and today we are privileged to have in our midst a phenomenal, extraordinary and monumental lawyer, the person of Barrister Charles Uzoka, the head of legal Amuchan Properties, and he's going to be talking about the important tips for landlord and tenant relationships. Good evening, sir.
Good evening and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Sir, I'm just going to be asking you a few questions. And the first on my list is, what is self-help when it comes to landlord and tenant relationships?
Self-help means when the landlord on his own devises a means to eject the tenant instead of the means that the law stipulates for ejection of tenant or recovery of premises. For instance, some landlords, when the tenant's rent have expired, will choose the option of either they remove the door of the premises or remove the roof. Such is self-help, and the law abhors that.
Wow. A lot of us don't even know that the law actually condemns this. Does the law allow self-help in landlord and tenant relationships?
The law frowns at it very, very much. It's not entertained at all, and it will also make the landlord to pay damages to the tenant in such situation, because if you remove the roof of a tenant, the property in his house might damage by rain, or he might be boggled. Such is not allowed in law at all. It's not tolerated at all. The law has zero tolerance for self-help.
Meaning that a lot of us don't even know our fundamental human rights, because most of these landlords actually do that to a lot of tenants.
Exactly.
Wow, this is enlightening. My third question is, how can a landlord recover possession of his premises from a tenant who is in arrears of his rent?
The only authority to do that is the court.
Wow.
The landlord should approach the court in such situation. It is only the court that has such powers to eject the tenant from the house and order that possession be given back to the landlord. But there are certain things that the landlord need to do before approaching the court. There's what they call the statutory notices, which the landlord need to observe and serve on the tenant before he can approach the court.
Oh, wow. This is actually an eye-opener. So what are these statutory notices?
The statutory notices are the notice to quit. That is the first one. And the second one is notice of owner's intention to recover possession. Then the notice to quit, it is the law that provides for this is Recovery of Premises Act. That's the act that is being used in Abuja. Many states have their own laws of recovery of premises, like Lagos State and many other states. But in Abuja here, what we practice, the law we observe here is the Recovery of Premises Act. And the Act provides for these statutory notices. Like Section 8, Section 7 of the Act provides for notice to quit. Then Section 8 also has to do with the duration. Most people don't know the duration of notices. A yearly tenant is entitled to 6 months notice, where quarterly tenant 3 months notice, and monthly tenant 1 month, weekly 1 week, just as the case may be. So, but most people that are not aware of all these things, even some lawyers will be called upon to draft notice to quit and give a tenant, and they will not observe the right things that the law stipulated. For instance, now most people will say, when you say that they want to take somebody to court, some people will tell you, I don't mind you. When you get to court will tell him to give you 6 months. That's not the law. That is not the law. 6 months notice is only obtainable when the tenant's rent is still running. When his tenant's rent is still running, when his rent has not expired. For instance, if the landlord wants to put the premises into personal use and he wants to notify the tenant, he has to give him 6 months notice. Notice that this 6 months notice will expire at the expiration of the end of the tenant's rent. So that's what is obtainable. But when the tenant's rent has expired, the tenant is no longer recognized in law. He's no longer recognized in law. He's like a trespasser now, because he hasn't renewed his rent. You understand? So in such situation, 1 month after his rent expired and he has not renewed his rent, the only notice he's entitled to is 7 days notice. That's what he's entitled to, 7 days notice. Then at the expiration of the 7 days notice, then he's also entitled to the second notice, which is the notice of owner's intention to apply to court to recover possession. And that's also another 7 days. And at the expiration of this second notice, then comes the summons from the court. That is what is obtained about the notices.
All right. My last question is, what is the effect of non-services of statutory notices?
The effect of non-service of these notices is that once such cases come to court, the court will strike it out. Because the landlord do not do the necessary things. That's why it is statutory. Those notices are statutory. That is what the law provides. You must follow those steps so that notify the tenant. You understand? That notice is sacrosanct. The landlord must, if landlord does not observe it, once the matter is being filed in court, and the court, either the tenant can raise it in court, I serve no notice, or the court on its own can on its own bring it to, and in that case they will strike the matter out for non compliance to what the statute said. That is that. But there's a latest Supreme Court decision on the issue of notices. In a situation whereby the notice is defective, where the notice, if not where there's no notice at all, where there is defection, if there's any defect in the notice, you understand? Once the landlord has served summons on the tenant, it cures whatever defect that the notices have. Once the summons is being served on the tenant, it cures whatever defect there is in the notices that were served on the tenant. And this also starts counting from the day the summons was served on the tenant. That's the only way. If there are some defects in in those notices, you understand, the tenant cannot raise it as a defense or what to absolve him from liability. No. For the fact that there's been someone, it cures whatever defect that is in the notice. But the notice is sacrosanct. It must be served. And personally on the tenant. You cannot give somebody to serve the tenant. You must serve him personally. Or if you don't have, you have no opportunity to get him personally to serve him, you can serve him by substituted means. That substituted means is either pasting on the door of the tenant or at his last known address. Yes.
All right, thank you very much. That was an eye-opener. I'm sure a lot of us did not know about this before. I personally did not know it was even illegal to just bang somebody's door, remove the roof, and then throw his properties outside. Because, like he said, that the person can be robbed, rain can fall on it, and the person might fall into self-harm. I'm sure you've learned one or two. Keep following us for more updates like this. Thank you very much, sir. It's an honor and privilege to have you here.
Thank you very much.
See you some other time. Do follow us on all our social media platforms at Abuja Property to get more tips on real estate. Thank you.